Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan M.S. Pearce. This is a very short video where I'm going to look at our best friend Andy S, who's a massive Trump supporter and cannot fathom why anyone would throw a critical word into the information spaces against poor old Mr. Trump. Now, this came in light of Trump first of all admitting that the decision to stop aid to Ukraine in terms of air defense missiles, etc., was not his. It was Pete Hegseth and Elbridge Colby. We can understand through some inference there that it was those two. Now that's interesting because Trump is saying he doesn't really have control over what his own government is doing in terms of aiding other countries. So that's a bit of an admission there for Trump. And we had this situation whereby he then adds this or he continues, he allows the aid to continue to Ukraine from the US in terms of, one presumes, Patriot missiles and whatnot. These were the announcements that he made in answering a question. He said, we will allow some weapons to continue to go back to Ukraine, defensive weapons, right? Which is a really minimal amount of help, by the way, and it is far less help than the Americans were originally giving to Ukraine a year ago, 2 years ago. Okay, we already know that there's no extra aid. This is aid that was already appropriated, right? And it may include some extra Patriot interceptors or something that Trump adds on, but essentially this was aid that was already coming. So what Trump had done, this is a 1984 type affair here, and I warned against this in the video from this morning, to which Andy S answered. Now, I'm not just trying to pick on Andy S. What I want to do is just show you how this kind of thinking is very problematic. Andy S says, you still need me to come on and debate how Trump is going to send weapons to Ukraine, John, or are you okay now? Yes, I would like you to come on. I would like you to come on this channel and debate with me. I would like you to come on and debate how wonderful Trump has been for Ukraine. Do that, please do that. I will give you the time and space to do that because you're a supporter of Ukraine, but you love Trump that much. I just want the evidence of what Trump has done. Anyway, so what Andy S is doing here is saying, oh, look at how wonderful Trump is. You want me to come on and remind you how wonderful Trump is in giving weapons to Ukraine. This is the George Orwell's 1984 approach of, and I'm going to sort of paraphrase, and this won't be super accurate in terms of what was actually said in the book, but it's something like this. The state reduces chocolate rations by 50%. And everyone's like, oh, this is freaking terrible. Oh, life is horrible. And then a few weeks later, the state increases chocolate rations by 10%. And everyone goes, that's amazing. And yes, here goes, that's amazing. You want me to come and tell you about how amazing the state is in giving chocolate rations to the people? You want me to do that because that's what's happening? Without realizing that the net situation is that people are down 40% on chocolate rations. So you take away 50%, and at some point you add 10%, maybe again add another 10% a couple of weeks later, and everyone's like, hey, the state's amazing. Governments do this all the time. I remember this happened with regard to, I think, policing, where the previous Conservative government in the UK reduced policing numbers and then added some back on, and then went to the press and said, look, we've added loads of policemen. And everyone's like, yeah, you took more away just before you had, and so on and so forth. So this is a common approach, but to think that somehow Trump is like, anyone that supports Trump is justified in their support because he's allowed weapons to go back to Ukraine when they are A, only defensive weapons, and B, some weapons, I mean that's the quote, and C, not any, or at least largely not any extra weapons. There is no appropriations bill that's passed through Congress. There is no large-scale military aid over and above what the Biden administration already has given to Ukraine, and it will give to Ukraine in terms of the remaining PDA, if there is any of that left, and the USAI funding for weapons that have been ordered through that appropriated money from the military-industrial complex in the US. This is an entirely ridiculous comment, and it needs to be highlighted as such. And anyone who thinks Trump, and I literally explicitly warned people about this. I said, don't go and shout about how wonderful Trump is, because he's taken stuff away. He's not giving any extra aid. From January the 20th, no extra aid has been given. He's taken away aid that was already appropriated from the Biden administration, and even he didn't have the ultimate say over that. That was people below him making unilateral decisions without his say-so. So this is all just a massive cock-up, and then he somewhat fixes the already instituted cock-up. But he's not fixing it to the degree it was before. The chocolate rationing has been increased by 10% and not by the 50% that is needed. So, and yes, come and argue with me about Trump. Please, please do. I would love to. I invite you onto this channel to debate how freaking marvellous and wonderful Donald Trump is with regard to support for Ukraine. Or, indeed, not.